Tonight, Republican candidate for Governor Matt Bevin's choice for president back in 2004 is raising some eyebrows.
Yesterday, Bevin called for the removal of the statue of Confederate President Jefferson Davis from the Kentucky State Capitol Rotunda. But our news partners at the Herald Leader report Bevin once told the National Review that he voted for Constitution Party candidate Mike Perutka for president in 2004. During that race, Perutka defended the Confederate flag, saying it stood for justice and decency, and he was endorsed by a group considered to be racist. Bevin's campaign did not respond to the newspaper's request for comments.
A new Kentucky law went into effect today that's designed to protect more children riding in cars. Governor Beshear signed the law earlier this year. It changes the requirements for booster seats. The law now requires all children younger than 8 years old and less than 57 inches tall to ride in a booster seat.
All of this bill does is keep children safe for longer. And I think that's really important because it takes the children who should have already been in booster seats and it just keeps them there till they are 7 inches taller and a year older.
The Kentucky Office of Highway Safety says using booster seats reduces the risk of injury by 60% when compared to just a seatbelt. A pastor from Estill County on a mission to help others ends up being shot in Haiti. Hear from some of those who know him.
A well-liked Southern Kentucky teacher is killed in a tragic motorcycle accident in northern Tennessee.
And we're in New York with a preview of tomorrow night's NBA draft. 7 former Cats could hear their names called.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
Good evening to you. He went to Haiti to help others, but a mission trip turned frightening for an Estill County pastor. Bill Wesley and his group were working in 2 villages near Port-au-Prince.
Investigators say he and 3 other people were shot after leaving a church service. Wesley is now headed back to the U.S., but he tells us he doesn't want the shooting to stop missionary work in Haiti. Victor Puente begins our top story team coverage.
3 members of the Body of Christ Ministries left for Haiti last week to deliver supplies and minister to the people there. Yesterday, that ministry was halted when the group was shot at, and one of them was hit.
We were going 100 miles an hour down that road, and those guys just kept firing shots.
Crystal Lawson helped organize the mission trip for Bill Wesley, his daughter, and a friend. She was with him when the group was fired at by a vehicle full of armed men. Wesley and 3 Haitians were hit, but none of their injuries were life-threatening.
It ended up not being a random robbing, but it was, an assassination plot against my pastor.
Wesley's secretary says he went to Haiti to deliver shoes and toys and to help build swing sets for the children. She says up until last night, the trip had been fruitful.
Since he's been there, there's been around 300 souls saved. And so, it's not been unsuccessful, but it's trying.
Wesley called Daniels while we were interviewing her and said he doesn't want the fact that he still has a bullet in his leg to take away from the work he was trying to accomplish.
I don't want this to discourage people from not coming over and helping the people. They're really good.
His congregation is continuing to pray for his safe return. He's told them that bullet can't be removed until he gets back to the United States.
Until they reach the States, we're still uneasy.
A spokesperson for the State Department tells us they are aware of the report of the shooting and are ready to provide assistance, but because of privacy, can't comment any further on the matter. In Estill County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Bill Wesley should be on a plane to Miami right now. He's scheduled to leave out of there for Lexington tomorrow morning.
Many Kentuckians have spent time in Haiti on mission trips, but despite the dangers of that country, they say the rewards of helping others and changing lives is worth it. A former WKYT reporter just returned from a mission trip to Haiti, and tonight she's talking to us about the experience. Monique Blair continues our team coverage from the live desk. Monique?
Well, Amber, Wendy Enneking, a former WKYT reporter and now nurse practitioner who on Saturday came home from her first mission trip to Haiti. She says the rewards of traveling to a third world country far outweigh the risks.
I like to think that I'm somebody who is very concerned about her safety, and I never, ever once felt a concern there.
Less than a week ago, Wendy Enneking came home from her first mission trip to the third world country. Although she describes Haiti as a place with overwhelming poverty, she says she never felt her safety was threatened.
Children walking around, sometimes with no clothes on. There's no running water, there's no electricity for most stations. And these are things that most of us take for granted every single day. So it's very hard to describe until you see it.
Enneking says there was security at the hotel she stayed, and although tragic, the incident where 4 people were shot last night in Haiti could have happened anywhere.
The person who committed this act, obviously has their own demons, and that's not going to be the norm that they're going to encounter.
Enneking says the shootings in Haiti will not deter her from taking another trip to the country, and she doesn't believe it will stop other missionaries from doing the same.
I think it's going to motivate other missionary groups to keep up their work, not only in Haiti, but other countries where, they're at risk of violent attacks. And, missionaries have been at risk since the beginning of time.
Enneking's mission in Haiti was focused on home building, but because she is a nurse practitioner, she was able to provide some help with minor medical needs to the residents of Haiti. At the live desk, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Monique, thank you. Enneking describes her trip to Haiti as very fulfilling, possibly even more so to the missionaries than the Haitian people.
A hazmat scare on the University of Kentucky campus today shut down a building for hours. Firefighters say 11 people had to be decontaminated after being exposed to a chemical in the animal pathology building. Those people reported feeling sick. UK officials say movers took a refrigerator to the building last night, and this morning workers noticed a stench.
Where they traced it to was this refrigerator, and they opened the refrigerator door, and it was quite overpowering. And so they immediately pulled the alarm.
Firefighters say none of the people decontaminated was seriously injured. Investigators believe the odor was caused by a chemical residue from something that had been inside the refrigerator. The building has since reopened.
A Fayette County grand jury has indicted 3 people in connection to the murder of a University of Kentucky student. 20-year-old Efren Diaz, 18-year-old Justin Smith, and 18-year-old Roman Gonzalez all face murder and robbery charges. Lexington police say the victim, Jonathan Kruger, was shot in April during a robbery near the intersection of East Maxwell and Transylvania Park. Kruger was walking with a friend at the time. Police have said that Diaz and Smith admitted they were involved in the robbery, but the 2 men claim Gonzalez actually pulled the trigger. Those who knew her say she was one of her students' favorite teachers, but tonight a Wayne County school is mourning her death. Investigators say Karen Grinnell was riding her motorcycle along US 27 in Tennessee when she crashed. New at 6, Phil Pendleton tells us how Grinnell is being remembered.
Summer means empty classrooms at Wayne County Middle School, but the staff here says they feel empty as well, knowing that Karen Grinnell won't be back next year.
To the students, she was everything. I really feel like her heart and soul went into her job.
Grinnell taught recently at the middle school in Monticello, but she brought more than 3 decades of instruction experience with her from jobs all over the United States.
You could ask any student that she had, and they all would say, I feel like that she was absolutely here for them.
Police say that Grinnell was headed south on US 27 in Morgan County, Tennessee, when she had just gone through this curve, lost control, and hit a guardrail in front of me and wrecked her brand new 2015 Harley. Police say, though, she was wearing a helmet. Her principal says her love of teaching children came first, but she also loved the outdoors and riding her motorcycle.
Definitely the kids thought that the fact that she could ride a Harley was awesome, and they loved that about her.
Private funeral service is being planned at McCreary County Funeral Home in Whitley City. In Wayne County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
The family has asked instead of flowers, donations be made in Karen Grinnell's name to the Knox Whitley Animal Shelter.
It's been a busy day for one of the finalists for Fayette County Schools Superintendent. Emmanuel Kalk is currently the superintendent of schools in Portland, Maine. Today he was interviewed by 8 focus groups made up of students, school employees, and community members. This afternoon he took questions from the media. Kalk was asked what would make a good superintendent.
It's a person who's a champion for all children. And that's what I have been and will continue to be, is really a champion for all children, making sure every student gets what he or she not only deserves, but what he or she needs.
Right now, Kalk is taking part in a public forum at Central Office. A second finalist for Superintendent, Terry Breeden, will be in Lexington tomorrow and Friday.
The weather is calm for now as we get a break from the storms, but tomorrow is expected to be much different. Meteorologist Jim Caldwell joins us with an early check of your forecast. Hi, Jim.
And you're right, Amber. Very quiet out there this evening. I mean, we're talking about some very comfortable temperatures, low humidity, everything you would want. But it's all about to change. We look outside right now and we are tracking some cloud cover. That's really about it. Our temperatures have been in the mid-80s here the past couple of hours. Right now we are at 85 out at the airport. Winds coming in on the calm side, but they've been filtering in from the northwest, which also allows for us to stay dry. With humidity at only 43%, that's not bad at all. A little more heat showing up to our south in London, now toward Monticello, now up to 89 degrees. They've been hovering in the 88-degree range here the past couple of hours, now bumping up 1 more degree. And that's where the best concentration of heat is, at least today. Defender quiet all across central and eastern Kentucky. That won't be the case tomorrow. That won't be the case on Friday, and it certainly won't be the case on Saturday, as we likely track more showers and thunderstorms. Tomorrow on our 3-day threat track, we're talking about hot conditions and then strong and severe thunderstorms. The same thing possible on Friday with more strong storms and then more heavy rounds of rain. So flooding becomes a concern, especially as we head into the weekend. Some much cooler air will also be in place. We'll take a closer look at all of it coming up for you here in just a few minutes.
All right, Jim, we'll see you then. Thank you. They were all stars on last year's UK basketball team that made it all the way to the Final Four.
Tomorrow night, 7 former Cats hope to hear their names called in the NBA draft. That would be a school record. Brian Milam joins us now from New York with a preview.
Thank you very much. Here in the heart of New York, we are in Midtown Manhattan, and on Thursday night the NBA draft takes place. And since John Calipari first came to Kentucky, the NBA draft is basically the focal point of his coaching. And for all of the Wildcats that come to the draft, playing at Kentucky, it's basically like an NBA developmental team. They learn the pick and roll. They learn a lot of the offense and defense they will see at the NBA level.
Closest thing to the NBA team is possible, and it showed that you can sacrifice a lot, and when we sacrifice to help their team out a lot. So some people take a different approach. They want to be that guy in college, but I felt like Kentucky was the closest thing to the NBA, and it was on the biggest stage in college basketball, and who wouldn't want to play on that? Selling out gyms has never been sold out in a few years, so it was a really great experience there.
Karl Anthony Towns, considered by many the #1 pick in Thursday night's draft. You'll hear from him and his father coming up in just a little bit. Reporting from New York, I'm Brian Milam, WKYT.
On WKYT.com, you can keep track of WKYT's NBA draft coverage from New York with a live Twitter feed.